Jericho wasn't just a city. It was a statement. Walls so thick you could race chariots on top, gates wrapped in iron, soldiers trained to kill in the dark. Every kingdom whispered the same thing. Jericho is untouchable. And then a wandering nation of ex-slaves arrived at its gates. No siege towers, no battering rams, no weapons strong enough to scratch the stone. They didn't come with swords. They came with a god Jericho had only heard rumors about. What happened next defied logic, shook the earth, and proved that no wall, no fortress, no enemy is too big for the God who leads you. This is how heaven broke a city without lifting a single sword. For 40 long years, Israel wandered through a wilderness that never seemed to end. A graveyard of a generation that doubted and a birthplace of a new one that believed. But now, everything was changing. The days of Moses, the great shepherd of Israel, had come to an end. And standing where Moses once stood was Joshua, warrior, servant, and the man chosen by God to finish the journey Moses began. Joshua wasn't just stepping into leadership, he was stepping into destiny. Because ahead of him, across the Jordan River, rose the first giant in the land God had promised, a fortress so feared that even kings trembled at its name, Jericho. Its walls pierced the horizon like a crown of stone. Its towers glared down like watchful eyes. Its gates were iron jaws waiting to devour any enemy. From a distance, Jericho looked impossible, unbreakable, untouchable. And yet, in the quiet of the desert dawn, the voice of God came to Joshua, steady, thunderous, overflowing with promise. Be strong and courageous, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. The wind seemed to stop, the desert seemed to listen, and Joshua, a man who once served quietly in Moses' shadow, felt courage settle into his bones like fire. Israel gathered at his back, men, women, children, warriors, a nation on the brink of promise. Across the river waited Jericho, the first wall that dared stand between God's people and their destiny. And the battle for the promised land was about to begin. Night settled over Israel's camp, wrapping the tents in silver moonlight. And Joshua called for 2 men, soldiers known not for their strength, but for their keen eyes, steady hands, and silent footsteps. He looked them in the eyes and whispered, "Go, spy out the land, especially Jericho." No trumpets, no cheering. Just 2 shadows slipping into the night, their silhouettes swallowed by the desert. They moved with the confidence of men who had survived Egypt's blades and the wilderness's storms. Their feet barely broke the surface of the sand as they crossed the Jordan's edge, wading through the cold current into enemy territory. Jericho loomed ahead, towers cutting into the sky, torches flickering atop the walls like watching eyes. The spies blended with a group of traders entering the gates, their heads lowered, cloaks pulled tight. Inside, Jericho breathed differently. The air was thick with fear. Rumors had slithered through every home. Israel is near. Their God splits seas. Their armies never fall, merchants whispered. Soldiers sharpened blades past sunset. Mothers pulled their children indoors. Every sound felt like danger. But stealth has a way of slipping through cracks. The spies moved under hanging rugs, past crowded markets, hugging shadows cast by towering walls. Then a whisper from behind. Strangers, foreigners, they're not from Jericho. The alarm didn't ring out yet, but suspicion had begun to spread. By the time they reached the inner districts, word had reached the king. 2 Israelites have entered the city tonight. Guards snapped to attention. Torches flared. Orders were shouted across the rooftops. The hunt began. The spies slipped through alleys, turned corners, ducked beneath staircases. But everywhere they went, the city seemed to be closing in. Finally, a door opened. A woman stood in the frame, eyes sharp, breath steady. Rahab, a woman whose life Jericho overlooked, but whose courage the world would soon remember. She hissed, "Quick, this way!" And the spies disappeared into her home, mere seconds before soldiers reached the street. The stage was set, the story was shifting. God was already working behind the walls of Jericho. The king's messengers, soldiers in armor, torches blazing. Rahab, an ordinary prostitute. She steadied her breath, her heart pounding so loud she was sure the men outside could hear it. She pushed the spies toward the back, lifted bundles of flax stalks on her roof, and buried them inside. Then she walked downstairs, each step heavier than the last, and opened the door. The soldiers glared into her home, querying her.
"Where are the men who came to you tonight? They are spies. Bring them out."
Rahab's voice didn't tremble when she answered.
"Yes, they were here, but I did not know where they came from. They left before the city gate closed. If you hurry, you might still catch them."
The soldiers didn't question her. They ran. Torches and armor vanished into the night as the gate slammed shut behind them. Jericho thought it was safe, but on her roof, beneath piled flax stalks, God had hidden his plan. Rahab returned to the spies, her eyes glistening with fear, with wonder, with hope. She whispered,
"I know that the Lord has given you this land. Our people's hearts melt in fear because of you, because of your God. Swear to me that you will spare my family, my mother, my father, my brothers and sisters."
In the flickering rooftop light, Rahab was no longer a woman of shame. She was a woman of faith. The spies looked at her, this woman the world had written off, and they saw destiny in her eyes.
Your life for ours. Tie a scarlet cord in this window. Whoever is inside your home will be saved.
Rahab nodded, hands trembling, as she wrapped the scarlet rope around her wrist. A red cord, a line of blood-colored hope, dangling over a city destined for destruction. That night, under cover of darkness, she lowered the spies through her window, the scarlet rope swinging softly in the wind. As they disappeared into the hills, Rahab stood alone, her future hanging from her window like a promise woven into the night. The spies returned at dawn, mud still clinging to their clothes, breathless from the journey. They rushed to Joshua with a message. They said to him,
"The Lord has given the whole land into our hands."
At those words, a wave of excitement rippled through Israel's camp. Mothers packed their belongings. Children hurried between tents. Warriors tightened straps on their armor. This was the day generations had waited for. But one obstacle still remained, a barrier impossible for any army to cross. The Jordan River. It wasn't calm, it wasn't shallow, it wasn't peaceful. It was at flood stage, deep, fierce, roaring with violent waters that devoured anything that stepped into it. Jericho believed this river was Israel's final barrier, but Jericho didn't know Israel's God. Joshua walked through the camp, his voice cutting through morning mist, shouting,
"Sanctify yourselves. Tomorrow the Lord will do wonders among you."
At dawn, the tribes assembled. The priests lifted the Ark of the Covenant, the golden chest that carried God's presence, shining with the morning sun. Every whisper stopped, every breath held. Then Joshua said the words that turned the riverbank into holy ground.
When the priests step into the water, the Jordan will stop.
The priests walked forward, feet trembling, yet hearts steady. The moment their sandals touched the edge, the impossible happened. The river stopped, not slowed, not softened, stopped. The waters rose into a towering wall upstream, a glittering pillar frozen in time. Downstream, the riverbed dried in seconds, mud cracking beneath the sunrise. And before the eyes of Jericho's terrified soldiers watching from the walls, the entire nation of Israel walked through the Jordan on dry ground. Men, women, children, animals, warriors, priests, all passing between the walls of water as if walking through a doorway into destiny. In the middle of the river, Joshua commanded a stone from each tribe, 12 stones placed as a monument, a memorial for future generations. He said,
"So your children will ask, 'What do these stones mean?' And you will tell them, 'And the Lord cut off the waters of the Jordan, and we walked through.'"
When the last foot crossed the river and the priests stepped onto the western bank, The waters crashed back into place with the force of thunder. Jericho's fate was sealed. The God of Israel had arrived. Night settled over the camp of Israel. The fires burned low. Warriors sharpened their swords in silence. Mothers held their children close, knowing tomorrow led them closer to Jericho's walls. Before Israel could face Jericho, before the walls could fall, God stopped the entire nation at a place called Gilgal. There, he told Joshua,
"Renew my covenant with the people."
For a whole generation, Israel had wandered the wilderness uncircumcised. But now, at the edge of promise, God called them to remember who they were. Israel obeyed. In the shadow of Jericho's mighty walls, they became vulnerable, unable to fight, yet completely protected by God. And when the healing was done, the Lord said,
"Today I have rolled away Egypt's shame from you."
Gilgal became the place where Israel was restored, marked, and made ready for the victory to come. But Joshua could not rest. The weight of destiny pressed on him, a nation depending on his leadership, a fortress looming ahead, a battle no human strategy could win. So Joshua walked alone toward Jericho, toward the darkness. His silhouette moved across the valley, lit only by moonlight and the faint glow of dying campfires behind him. His heart beat like a drum. His breath hung in the cold night air. He stared at Jericho's towering walls, trying to imagine how such a monster of stone could ever fall. Then he saw someone. A man stood in the distance, seemingly out of nowhere, holding a drawn sword that glimmered like lightning even in the dark. Joshua's hand shot to his weapon. He stepped forward with the voice of a commander. He said to the man,
"Are you for us or for our enemies?"
The man did not move, did not blink, did not lower his weapon. Instead, he answered with a voice that shook Joshua's bones, a voice filled with authority not found on earth.
"Neither. I am the commander of the Lord's army."
Joshua froze. This was no mortal soldier. This was no enemy scout. This was a heavenly warrior, a divine general standing on holy ground. Joshua fell face down, the dust rising around him, his heart pounding louder than any drum in Israel.
"What does my Lord say to his servant?"
He whispered. The commander lifted his sword, its blade glowing faintly like a star, and said,
"Remove your sandals, for the place where you stand is holy."
Joshua obeyed immediately. Barefoot in the cool night soil, he listened as the heavenly warrior revealed the battle plan. A plan no human strategist would ever imagine. A plan of silence and trumpets and marching and obedience. This was no ordinary battle. This was a war led by heaven itself. And Jericho, the city that feared nothing, was about to learn what it meant to stand against the armies of God. At dawn the next morning, Joshua stood before the tribes of Israel. the ark glimmering behind him, and delivered a command that sounded nothing like war and everything like obedience.
We will march around Jericho.
The warriors looked at each other, confused. This was no strategy known to men, no battering rams, no siege towers, no arrows raining from the sky. Just walking. But Joshua continued.
You will not shout, you will not speak, you will march, and you will be silent.
7 priests stepped forward, each holding a shofar, a ram's horn curved like ancient thunder. Behind them, the Ark of the Covenant was lifted, its golden wings catching the morning sun like fire. The people fell into line, families gathered beside tents to watch the strangest army formation the world had ever seen. And then the horns sounded. A deep, trembling blast echoed across the plain, causing Jericho's guards to rush to the walls in confusion. Below, Israel marched, not running, not shouting, not fighting, marching. Their sandals thudded rhythmically in the dust, their shadows stretching long before them as the sun rose higher. From atop the walls, Jericho's soldiers stared in disbelief.
What are they doing? Why aren't they attacking? Why are they so silent?
But Israel continued, a quiet river of determination flowing around stone walls that had stood undefeated for centuries. And when the march was finished, Joshua gave one command.
Return to the camp.
The next day, the same. The priests lifted their horns. The ark shone like sunrise. The people walked in silence, around and around Jericho. Day 3, the same, but tension in Jericho was rising. Day 4, the same, but Israel's confidence was growing. Day 5, the same, but Jericho's fear was cracking like its walls soon would. Day 6, the same, but something in the air felt different. A heaviness, a sacred stillness, as if heaven itself was holding its breath. And then came day 7. At dawn, Israel assembled with a fire in their eyes. Not the fire of anger, the fire of obedience. They marched once, twice, 3 times, 4, 5, 6, silence. No voices, no war cry, only the haunting echo of ram's horns drifting through the morning air. Around them, the tension tightened, the air thick with expectation, the walls of Jericho trembling though no human hand touched them. Israel stopped. The priests lifted their horns. Joshua raised his hand. The final moment had come. Then Joshua's voice erupted like thunder.
Shout, for the Lord has given you the city.
And Israel unleashed a roar, a cry so fierce, so full, so unified that it cracked the silence of centuries. Men, women, and children lifted their voices in one holy, unstoppable wave of praise. The earth responded. The ground trembled beneath Jericho. Pebbles rattled. Dust fell from the cracks between stones. Guards stumbled on the walls. Inside the city, people screamed. Buildings shook. Animals panicked. The impossible was beginning. The walls groaned. Ancient stones pressing under an unseen force. A deep resonant boom echoed through the valley. Then another. the sound of stone fighting against the breath of God. Cracks raced like lightning along the fortress walls. Towers swayed, battlements sank, gates buckled inward, and then with a roar that swallowed the city, Jericho fell. Not in pieces, not in sections. The entire wall collapsed inward in a single divine moment. Dust exploded into the sky like a rising storm cloud. Stones tumbled, shouts turned into cries of fear, and the city that once mocked Israel lay flat at their feet. Israel surged forward, not as conquerors of their own strength, but as witnesses to the power of the God who fights without weapons. But one place, one section of the wall, still stood: Rahab's home. The scarlet cord fluttered in the dusty air, a symbol stronger than stone, a promise stronger than death. And while the city fell into ruin, that one window remained untouched, because God never forgets a promise. Rahab gathered her family inside, her father trembling, her mother clutching her hand, her brothers and sisters pressed close, listening to the chaos outside. Fear pounded against the walls, but hope tied to a scarlet rope, held them together. Suddenly, footsteps crunched over broken stone, voices, shouts, commanders calling out orders. Rahab pressed her family close. Would Israel remember her? Would they honor the promise made under midnight whispers on her rooftop? Then a knock, firm, strong, intentional. Rahab opened her door, dust swirling past her feet. Standing there were the two spies, no longer fugitives hiding in shadows, but warriors of a victorious nation. Their eyes softened when they saw her. They said only 4 words.
Come with us now.
Rahab's breath caught. She turned, gathered her family, and stepped across the threshold, leaving behind the world that had labeled her, shamed her, and used her. Outside, destruction stretched as far as her eyes could see, a broken landscape that should have swallowed her home and her hope. But the God of Israel remembered her faith in the night no one else saw it. The spies led her and her family through the ruins, guiding them away from danger as Israel poured into the city. Behind them, the smoke of Jericho rose like a funeral pyre for a kingdom that trusted in walls more than in God. Ahead of them, a new future stretched wide, a future Rahab never imagined, never dared hope for, yet one she now walked toward with trembling steps of faith. The woman Jericho rejected became part of Israel. The woman the world despised became an ancestor of kings. Rahab, the woman with the scarlet cord, stepped into the story of redemption that would one day lead to David and to Jesus. Because God does not choose based on pasts, He chooses based on hearts. And Rahab's heart changed the destiny of generations. This story teaches us that Israel didn't win by swords, they won by obedience. Sometimes the breakthrough you need won't come from force, strategy, or intelligence, but from doing what God asks, even when it makes no sense. When God gives instructions, they may look ridiculous to others, but they are always right. And so, it's not your human ability that intimidates the enemy, it's the one backing you. Thank you for watching this Bible story. If you enjoyed our video, please subscribe and turn on the notification icon so you do not miss the next one. It helps support us to make more videos like this. Also, do not forget to like our videos and share your thoughts with others in the comment section.